Hello, everybody. It's Mark here. I have got a special guest with me today, and I think you might know who it is. Hello, Mark.
Hello, everyone. Lovely to see you, Mark. How are you doing
Yeah, fine, thank you. It's
on this
lovely
beautiful
to.
morning?
Yeah,
Beautiful
yes.
morning here.
Well, I'm in Somerset, because your family live just down the road from me. But yesterday, or was it the day before, we had the most almighty downpour, and
Yes, we did.
the house where I used to live as a boy, which is only down the road here in a village called Galhampton, which is near North Cadbury, was completely underwater. It has never flooded before in its life, and it was under 8 feet of water. Um,
Really?
yeah, and
That's amazing.
apparently the flooding was not rivers bursting their banks, but there was literally so much water that it came cascading down the roads.
Oh,
So yeah,
wow.
so
I think I
we
saw that. I think I saw that on BBC News.
yeah,
Um, I think it was
we've had
South,
weather.
yeah, South Cadbury.
We've
Yeah.
had weather.
Wow.
Anyway,
Well,
Mark, it's
hopefully,
lovely to see
hopefully it's a
you.
lovely day there. It's lovely to see you too. Lovely to see you
And
too.
I thought what would be rather, bearing in mind, Ben is in charge of the music and the musical direction of this wonderful choir, and Connor, of course, and his Merry Merry Men do all the editing and the mixing. And Nikki does lots of the communications and absolutely wonderful in that area. But you and I talk a lot, and we do a lot together, putting together the web pages and the conducting videos and the voice louder parts and the group pictures. Um, and I just thought it would be rather fun to share with the choir how we work together, what it is that you do, how you put these things together, because we use your conducting videos every day of the week, and we kind of take
I'm
them for
glad. I'm glad.
and we kind of take them for granted a bit. And so I just thought it would be rather fun just to chat things through with what it is that you do. Um, so why don't we take a project, Mark, from the very beginning and just work our way
Okay.
through it, as to how you and I work together to make it happen for the choir. Um, so
Okay. What do you want to take any project you
yeah,
like?
yeah.
Um,
Let's take the Hallelujah project for the coronation, because
yeah.
that's in our mind and in our, although it's slightly different because it wasn't for the members, but nonetheless, let's just talk about.
Nevertheless, it's a good example. It's a
Yeah,
good
it's a good
example.
example. So what would happen is that you and I would have a chat about a project, and we would agree that we need to put a web page together.
That's
Um,
right.
so
Yep.
how does that work? How do we work together when we decide how to put the web page together?
Well, I think what normally starts off is that we would have that discussion and
Yeah,
we would have that idea, and usually would be bouncing around the walls with excitement about the idea. And then when it really comes to fruition, and we need to execute it. The first thing we do is build the web page, add the copy in, and then we would have a separate conversation about how the copy might, looking at the tone of voice and how, which words need editing, which paragraphs. Um, then adding in all of the creative assets. Normally we would do a product page. Within that product page, there would be the e-commerce system built into it. But for example, for this project, this project was free. The coronation project was free. Um, adding in all of the images that we need to add in, to sort of build the web page, and then there are lots of depending on the course. There are lots of bells and whistles to go with it. So if it was one like an around sound, for example, we need a product page and an automation. So when someone buys the course, we need to make sure that the automation is activated, which means when someone buys something, then there's an automatic email sends them the UL, for example, the universal link that contains everything needed for the course. So I guess that's sort of the big launch.
Yeah, so we would work on the copy together, and with Nikki and Ben, and then you and I would have quite an interesting conversation about what we call the hero image, which is the main picture image for each web page.
That's right.
So,
And it can be something very something that we look at, an image that we look at online and go, yeah, that's the one. But sometimes it can be we can have a bit of a discussion about it.
we can, and we make it lighter, we make it darker, we move it up, we move it down. But obviously the image has got to be of a large enough size so that it looks good when it's in there in front of us all, because
exactly,
when blown up can look rather grainy.
It's very true. It's very true. But also for it to add, it needs to be versatile on mobile as well. You know how mobile is portrait,
Yes.
and the laptop is landscape. So it's tricky to get that cropping right.
Absolutely, and so then when one of us presses join me, we then purchase whatever we have to purchase in the shop. And then once we've done that, we get an automated email that you have set up, which I think you click a box, don't you, saying always send on purchase or something, which means that everybody
right.
gets the same email.
So that's what's called the trigger. So when someone purchases, the trigger is to send that specific email to the recipient for further information. So that's
whilst we're on emails, Mark, as everybody
those things.
I will know that we send quite a lot of emails.
Quite a few, yeah. Well, there's a lot to communicate.
Yeah, so you and I are kind of in charge of is the wrong word, but you and I look after the email lists. So when somebody makes a purchase, they're automatically added to a particular mailing list. So we are able to send an email to absolutely everybody, and absolutely everybody includes everybody that has done any course with Choir of the Earth who hasn't unsubscribed, because we have, there is another lot of people.
There still are the people, a lot of people out there, thousands and thousands, who receive and open our emails. So, there's still a lot of interest out there, which is brilliant. We've got people watching us. Well, which is evident in the coronation video. I think we're up to I want to say 20,000 views.
No, Mark. No. We're up to 71,000 views as of now.
No, as in I was talking about the concert.
Oh, I thought no. For a minute, yes. I thought you meant the errant horse.
The errant horse video. God, that's gone quite viral, hasn't it, Mark?
It's extraordinary. We're now up to 70.
Absolutely extraordinary.
I mean, and as Ben quite rightly said yesterday, we've done Marla 8, we've done St. John's Passion, we've done Messiah, we've done Elijah, and an errant horse is the most popular.
Is the most popular one. Well, exactly. Exactly.
But no, you're quite right. We're up to 20,000 or so for the Hallelujah, for the coronation. But just to get back to email, so we are able to send an email directly to a particular course or a particular region, or so that we can contact everybody that needs to be contacted with news or correspondence on a particular course.
That's right. But unfortunately, that one's actually not automatic. So what if we want to send out, let's say, an email to Messiah Tour attendees, all Messiah Tour attendees, or Messiah Tour, Mozart Tour attendees, we would need to export each each order for Mozart tour London, for example. Then then we would need to import those contacts into MailChimp, and then that's how we speak to the people who have just bought that, and then we add a particular tag in MailChimp, and it's all sort of this integrated system. And we add tags to those people. So if it was Mark Strawn at hotmail.com, for example, and MailChimp will know that you have bought Messiah tour, Mozart Requiem tour, Elijah at home back in 2020, stuff like that.
So
it's very specific.
Exactly.
Which is great.
So if I want to send, or you want to send an email to members, for example, only, I would call you and we would agree to update the list to include.
That's right.
Everybody in the list,
to include everyone.
Sure that everybody is included in the MailChimp list.
So before we send a blast, we update that mailing list. Yeah. So that we include absolutely everybody. Absolutely everybody. So if there was someone who joined the course 5 minutes ago, even they would get the email as well. Would be
wonderful.
Included.
And it's amazing how quickly, when we concentrate and get going, we can turn these web pages around really, really quickly. We're a good team, Marc Siese. We're
a very good team. Well, we've got 3 years experience now, and we've had our problems. I remember, going back to emails, we've had our problems with Squarespace, because you use Squarespace in our campaigns, and then about half the people on our mailing list just weren't getting them. So we decided to move away from that system, because I don't think it was as mature. No, not mature. What's the word? I don't think it was as good as MailChimp. So we just started using MailChimp.
And if people say if people say they don't get our emails, what are the reasons for that? Could it be that they've unsubscribed by mistake, or that
yes, either they unsubscribe by mistake
or junk?
Yes, that can also happen. Sometimes MailChimp flags different email addresses, and automatically unsubscribes them as well, which is very irritating. But if anyone does have if anyone does have complications or any problems or anything, then always feel free to email me or Mark, and we usually get it sorted pretty quickly.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on, Marc. Let's move on. We've got the page set, and everybody knows what's happening. And Ben sets Fieri on the route of recording the voice louder parts, and then Josh sends us a message saying, "Yeah, all the voice parts, louder parts, are up on the Google Drive." So now tell us what you do to take the Fieri tracks and make the voice louder tracks for us.
Sure. So what I do is download all of the tracks that Josh has very kindly created. He normally puts them in Google Drive, and then I go in there, download all of them, which can take a while depending on the course. And then I go into Final Cut Pro, which is my video editing software. I add a card. So normally it'll be Choir of the Earth, Vivaldi, Dixit Dominus, Movement 1, rehearsal track, for example. So that's just an image, which is as big as this screen. So it's 1920 by 1080. That's the screen resolution.
Yeah.
Once you've got that, I then how long the MP3 is, and I use Final Cut to make it the same time as the MP3, and then export that. So once that goes on, so it's basically converting the MP3 into an MP4. So MP3 is just audio only, and MP4 is the video. Now, the reason we do that is because we use YouTube a lot, as we all know. You're probably watching this on YouTube right now. And with the YouTube playlists, it's actually quite easy to go onto the rehearsal tracks, soprano rehearsal tracks for Vivaldi Dixit Dominus, for example. You click on the web page, you click on soprano, and it pops up and it says play all, and away you go. And you could be playing that on your computer, with your or on your phone, with speakers connected, whilst you're cooking your paella.
Yes, exactly.
It could it could be anything, and then it just keeps on playing, and it goes on to the next track and the next track and the next track. So using YouTube is actually quite, it works quite well.
So then,
You
how
can
do you
listen to it on the go.
once you've done Final Cut and you've made an MP4 out of the MP3? How then do you put that onto the web page?
So I then upload that onto our YouTube channel, and then add them into. So then I create playlists. So it would be Vivaldi Dixit Dominus, soprano, rehearsal tracks.
Yep.
And then mark them, and then mark them as the ones to be put in. So I just put them into the various playlists, and then the YouTube playlists, they are unlisted, so no one else can see them, not the public. Only the person that has access to the members area can actually access the YouTube playlist, which is very useful.
So you then make a link when it says soprano Dixit Dominus movement 1 or whatever. You make a link from the web page to the MP4 so that people we click on it and it appears automatically.
The whole playlist appears.
Yeah.
So it'll be Vivaldi Dixit Dominus soprano.
Yeah.
And then within that playlist you'll have movement 1, movement 2, movement 3, soprano 1 louder, soprano 2 louder. So you can really listen in detail the soprano 2 in movement 7.
Perfect. Okay, that's great.
That's basically it.
Thank you. So then you've made all the Fieri louder tracks, which is marvelous. Then you need to create the links for Ben's rehearsal tracks, for Ben's sessions. So scrolling down the members area page, you then have thumbnails where we click on each session to go directly through to Ben. So how do you create
That's right. So, well, after our big conversation of when the what the schedule is, then I have all of the dates, all of the times. I would then go into YouTube. There's a thing where you can schedule excuse me, you can schedule live streams. So it might say, if I'm doing the Monteverdi Vespers, for example, I know it's from Monday to Friday. Monday is full choir, Tuesday is soprano, Wednesday alto, tenor, bass, particular times. So it's each stream needs to be created specifically for that date and time. And the reason why we do that is well, to give them all to you further, as far in advance as we can. But also, if Ben has something urgent, then it's very easy to go into YouTube and just to change the time and date of a particular rehearsal.
So all of those are infinitely flexible. They're not quite so flexible as far as I can recall if it's a YouTube premiere, because if it's a YouTube premiere,
No,
we need
that's
to
yeah,
upload it first to YouTube before we get the link. Isn't that correct?
that's correct. That's correct. So that's why YouTube premieres take a little bit longer, because you can only set up a YouTube premiere when you have the video
Yeah,
all completely ready and exported from my computer, uploaded onto YouTube. Then you set the premiere.
wonderful.
Um,
So, Mark, you've done all this hard work. You've set up all our voice louder tracks. You set Ben up, and he just uses the same stream key to make sure that he arrives and we all arrive at the same place. Then you can relax and you can go on holiday. You can go to the Bahamas for a few weeks, and then your work.
I can
Yeah,
assure you, Mark, I don't
yeah,
do that. I wish I could. I
yeah.
wish
Me
I could.
too. And then your work begins again because we want to do our own recording of Vivaldi Dixit Dominus. So the next stage is that you need to create. Let's not touch live recording for a moment. Let's just talk about the Choir of the Earth classic, if you like, the normal way of recording.
Normal
Tell us how
way.
you
So
create. Tell us how you create the conducting videos for us.
the first thing I do is download that whole rehearsal video. And you remember I was talking about the rehearsal tracks. So what I usually do is I overlay the rehearsal tracks with the bit where Ben has conducted it all the way through. So if there was a specific movement, I would find it in my computer, wherever it is, find that MP3 track, and make sure that the track, and because the track and the video they're different audios, they have to link up, they have to be completely synchronized
Yeah.
with each other. And then of course you've got the clap. So you would have so what I do is have the front card, what we were talking about, and then you cross dissolve into clap after me, 1, 2, 3.
And it's the same clap that you tend to use. You tend to use Ben's brown shirted clap.
Yes, I use that every time, because, well, I mean, why not? I mean,
Why not?
it's
A good clap. A good clap.
it's actually it's quite nice. That actually came from Elijah.
Yes, I think it did. It wasn't it wasn't
Back in
from
2020.
Messiah. Um,
No, it wasn't from Messiah. Wasn't from Messiah. It was all from Elijah. And so yeah, that video was from Elijah, and it's quite funny seeing the contrast. 3 years ago, Ben, to now, and it looks exactly the same. He hasn't
he does. He does. He
hasn't
does.
aged like that.
He
He
does.
hasn't
He
aged
does. He
at
does.
all. No.
Now, when you do the conducting videos and you overlay the voice louder tracks onto Ben's conducting video so that we all have our separate voice louder parts when he conducts, do you use the same video? So does soprano, alto, tenor, bass, do they all have the same video upon which you overlaid the audio?
It does depend. Usually, well, for Vivaldi, and it does vary. It does vary for Vivaldi, Dixit Dominus, and Pachelbel Magnificat. This course that we are currently doing.
Yes.
I am doing them all individually. Yesterday, for example, it was a alto rehearsal, and they covered part 2 of Magnificat, and also movement 2 of Dixit Dominus.
Yes.
I would then take those bits. So when we'll come on to live recording in a minute, but they're the sort of official ones, that I would use. So I would take out part 2 and then make that a new video. I would take out, let's say, alto 1 of movement 2 of Dixit Dominus. That's another one. And then alto 2, so alto 1, alto 2. So out of that whole live rehearsal, there are 3 conducting videos that come out of that. So that will be part 2 of Magnificat, alto 1, movement 2, and alto 2, movement 2 of Dixit Thomas.
Okay, so
So
in other words, for
that's
this
just for example.
particular project, we have different conducting videos for each voice part, which on which you've overlaid the MP3 audio.
Yes, but sometimes, but for this course, because we have it, all sort of depends on who requests what, and I think we've got quite a good thing going with this project where you've got the live recording, and then the next day the conducting videos are, or normally around the next day, the conducting videos are done. But
Okay,
actually,
lastly,
what I haven't been,
I need to interrupt you just very briefly because we've only got a minute
sure.
left, Mark. Sorry. The last thing to say is you create the Dropbox links, and
Yeah.
tell us how you create those.
So I create them. So on Dropbox, on the left-hand side, there's the file requests. So I just create those, and that generates a link for people to upload their recordings.
Fantastic. And then we give Connor the link, and Connor takes all the voice submissions, and then your job is done.
And that's it.
Oh,
and that's
and
it.
that's it.
And then after that, there's the actual concert performance. So once that's done, Connor and his team, they do all of the mixes, and then closer to the time, once they have the final mixes, that's when I start my videos for the concerts.
Your famous videos, Mark. Well, look, it's been a complete pleasure. It always is working with you, and I hope that everybody has enjoyed as much as I have chatting with you. Marc Siese, for the moment, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mark. That was good fun. I enjoyed that. Thank you.